Good morning, everyone. Mark here with you. We have a 2018 Impala here that we're going to do the front brakes and rotors, and I'm going to start by removing this wheel. It, as you can see, it has these odd lug nuts. It comes with this little tool that this little tool came with the wheels when I bought them. I apologize for the wheels being nasty. I just mowed the yard yesterday and haven't washed the vehicle yet because I knew I'd be doing these brakes today. But what it is, when I get on the brakes at high speed, I get a little shimmy in the front end, and the brake pads are pretty thin. I got a little over 120,000 miles on the vehicle, and as you can see there's some pretty good wear on that disc. So I'm going to replace the disc and the pads all at the same time. But yeah, let me start by getting this wheel off and we'll go from there. All right, I've got the wheel off, and this little plastic ring just slips right off. You'll be sure and want to save it to put back on. But first thing we're going to do is press that cylinder back in on that caliper. Yes, they make tools to do that with, but if you're careful, you don't have to have them. You can just simply get you a screwdriver that's pretty sturdy, put it in like so, try and get a bite on the disc, and just gently pull, and you'll be compressing the piston in that caliper. You want to be sure and compress it all the way, because the new brake shoes will be thicker and you will have difficulty getting it on. And I am doing this one-handed, so and I may be compressed all the way there. No. And there I am compressed all the way. So the next step will be to get a ratchet, take this screw out, and then there'll be one on the bottom side right here, and we'll take it out as well. And then that caliper will just simply come off. We can take the shoes out of the brake support, and then we'll have to look for the bolts that actually hold this bracket on in order to get this disc out. All right, so let me find a socket that fits that and we'll get started. Okay, it's a 14 millimeter bolt, 14 millimeter socket. It's just a matter of taking them two bolts out to get that caliper off. Being as I'm holding the phone, I'll have to put the phone down to break the nut bolts loose, but you get the gist of it. The top one and that bottom one need to come out. Okay, I got the top one out, and I'm fixing to get the bottom one out. But what I failed to tell you was on this slide pin, it rotates as well in there, and you'll need a 18 millimeter to hold it while you take that bolt out. And that's what I'm gonna have to do on the bottom one. Top one came out just fine, but the bottom one, as you can see, it wants to turn. So I'm gonna have to put the wrench on it, and then once I get it on, then I'll be able to get the bolt out like so. And when you go to put this back together, I would recommend a little Loctite on the threads so that it doesn't take a chance of backing out on you going down the road. All right, let me finish getting this apart. Okay, I took the back shoe off already, but they just slide right out like so, and they'll come out by hand. And then you got these little metal brackets. They're actually noise suppressors, and they just snap right off. They're both the same, upper and lower. You can use them top or bottom. They'll basically only go one way, so I guess, but as you can see, they just go one way. There's no way to really mess that up, I don't believe. But anyway, as you can see, I didn't have but maybe an 1/8 inch or less of pad left. So, like I said, it had a pretty good shimmy at highway speeds when I got on the brake a little aggressively. So, I'm thinking the rotor may be warped a little bit due to heat. But I'm gonna just replace the rotors and the brake pads. Oh, sorry about that. But you can see the disc has got some wear on it and a little discoloration, not much. But I'm gonna go ahead and replace them just to be on the safe side. All right, let me find out about the bolts for this bracket. Okay, this bracket is loose, but it had 2 bolts right there. You can see they just come out, but they got Loctite on them, so I definitely recommend going back with Loctite on them. I assumed they were metric, and I put a 21mm socket on them that didn't fit really well. However, 13/16 fits them really snug, as you can see. So, yeah, and then this bracket, it just lifts out. And then we've got that one torque spit screw right there to take the rotor off with. You know, to be honest, I could have probably turned these rotors and put them back, but I didn't know what kind of shape they were in, and I wanted to have everything here on hand, so I just bought everything as a kit. I'm not promoting Rock Auto or knocking them or anything else. I personally, for some things, I like Rock Auto. Other things I do not. But for this deal, the rotors and pads were a really good deal for this car. So anyway, you make your own decision on where you get your parts. But anyway, I'm not promoting them or knocking them or anything, and they're not paying me or anything like that. I'm just telling you where I got my brakes and rotors, and I think I'm gonna be pretty happy because they're Bosch. But anyway, all right, let me find the torque spit for that, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I got it broke loose. It turns out that's a T30 torque spit, and it wasn't really that tight to begin with. I mean, it was snug, but it wasn't just super tight. Doesn't look like there's any Loctite on it, but I may add a drop just because, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, the disc will just slide right off now. So, and anyway, what I'm going to do now is I got a wire brush for my drill. I'm just gonna wire brush all that in there and get it cleaned up so that when I put the new disc on, it'll be a nice flat smooth surface for it to sit on, so that there won't be no run out on the disc, you know. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna get done next. So, and then we'll start putting this thing back together. Okay, I got the new disc on. As you can see, it's a Bosch. I got the little corkscrew put back in. Got my little hub polished up with a wire brush. Now it's just going to be a matter of mounting this brake support. One thing I did want to mention is you wanted to check these pins, make sure they slide good, and that way you don't get stuck with a caliper that's hanging up. But what I'm gonna do is just get these bolts in to get it kind of lined up, and then I'll take them out one at a time, and I'm gonna put some red Loctite on them. Red thread locker. It don't take much, just a few drops, but well, looks like my thread locker is stopped up. I'll be right back. Okay, like I said, it don't take much. I just put them in there first to kind of get an alignment on them, make sure everything's going to line up and fit the disc. Make sure I didn't put the wrong one on, because the back brake disc is very similar. But yeah. All right, now it'd just be a matter of tightening them down. So that one's a little boogered up. With a breaker bar, but yeah, let me get that tightened up and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I got them two bolts tightened up with a breaker bar. Yeah, I had to kind of tap that socket onto that one bolt. I boogered it up pretty good earlier, taking it out with that 21 millimeter, and 21 millimeter didn't fit very well. It was a little bit loose and kind of boogered up them shoulders. And anyway, these brake shoes come with new clips, so I'm putting the new ones on instead of the old ones. And anyway, as you see, they just snap into place like so. And then the way this came apart was the old shoe with the noise maker was on the back side, and the new shoe doesn't have, the front one doesn't have a noise maker. So just me, I like to put it back like it came from the factory. But yeah, they just slip into place on these new clips if I got them in properly. But anyway, there's that and that. As you can see, new pads are on, the new shields are on, and we'll need to decompress that piston again because it's actually eased out, but I'm going to take this outside shoe off, set it in there, and then do like before, just use a screwdriver to compress that piston. There. Now then, as you can see, maybe, I don't know, I can't see what you're seeing, but the piston's all the way in. I just need to put my new shoe back on. That. As you can see, the caliper fit right on. Now, like I said before, the bolts didn't have any thread lock on them, but I'm going to put just a little bit on each one. And I mean just a very little bit. Because believe it or not, I have had these little bolts back out before. They actually backed out on my Ram 3500, and yeah, they went to rubbing on the inside of my rim. But anyway, like I said, it's 14 millimeter socket for these, and as you can see, it's turning, but I may be able to hold it by hand, but I may have to put a backup wrench on it too. Then I just give it a couple of little whacks like that with a hammer and good to go. There we are, all back together. Now it's just a matter of straightening out the wheels, putting the front tire back on. And I think that's pretty well self-explanatory. So anyway, I hope this video helped you out. If you like it, please hit the like button and give me a follow. And if you got any questions, just shoot them to me and I'll answer them as quick as I get to them. But I do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video, because I'm going to do one on the back brakes when I get there. I got to do the other front side, and then we're going to do the back side just like this. We'll be changing the rotor and pads. Anyway, appreciate you watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, please. All right, have a good day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.